Hello everyone, myself Dr. Kirti Mathur. I am Assistant Professor in Dolphin PG Institute of Biomedical and Natural Sciences, Dehradun. Today we are going to discuss the topic pain modulation. Being a physiotherapist, we have to deal with pain each and every day, and most of the common problem with physiotherapists is painful patients. So what is pain? Pain has been classified by the International Association for Studies of Pain as a sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage or described in terms of such damage. So you can see this is the site of the pain or the painful stimulus is created here. And when there is painful stimulus, you can see what are the various substances which are released by the damaged cells. They are bradykinin, cations, free radicals, histamine, prostanoids, purines, serotonin and tachykinins. So this painful stimulus will be carried forward via dorsal root ganglion, reaches to the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, and then from dorsal horn of spinal cord it is moving anteriorly to the spinal cord. From here via spinothalamic tract moving towards brainstem, midbrain, thalamus, and then finally reaches to the cortex. So we should know that how a person feels pain. Pain is received by the various receptors which are present in the body, and those receptors are called as the nociceptors. And these nociceptors, they receive the nociceptive stimulus which is carried to the cord by various types of fibers. They are mainly classified as two fibers. One is the slow conducting non-myelinated C fibers. They are slow conducting because there is no myelin sheath, so there will be no saltatory conduction. While the another one are the fast conducting myelinated A delta fibers. They are myelinated, so there will be presence of saltatory conduction. So stimulus will jump from one node of Ranvier to the another one, and hence its speed is more as compared to C fibers. Both will eventually enter the cord via the posterior root. Then next you can see the general classification of pain. Pain has been classified into two main categories as the acute pain and another one is the chronic pain. So acute pain is the condition where the signs and symptoms of inflammation are very strong and they are perceived by the subject. So pain is very intense. And being physiotherapists, we don't get lots of patients in the acute condition. We usually get the patients in the chronic pain, and it is the condition where inflammation is considerably less and the subject feels mild pain in certain activities. So next we have to know that what is the basic principle behind various electrical modalities by which we are controlling pain, and this we can understand by the pain gate theory. Pain gate theory was given by the scientist Melzek and Wall in the year 1965. So this was explained in a very simple way as that there is a gate which is called as pain gate, and if they say if we keep this gate open, so painful stimulus will enter via this gate and it reaches to the higher centers of the brain, and pain stimulus will be felt by the patient and intensity will be normal. You cannot say that pain intensity will be very high or it will be increased, but it will be normal. जो हमें पेन हो रहा है वही पेन पेशेंट परसीव करेगा. बट अगर हमने ये गेट क्लोज कर दिया, we have closed this gate, and how we can close this gate? This can be done either by application of the electrical stimulus externally, or we can activate the mechanoreceptors. By using these methods, this pain gate will be closed. When this gate is closed, so the painful stimulus reaching to the higher centers will be less. तो ये पेन हम कंट्रोल कैसे कर पा रहे हैं? बहुत ही सिंपल तरीके से आप समझ सकते हैं दैट फर्स्ट इज इलेक्ट्रिकल स्टिमुलेशन, वेरियस मोडालिटीज यूज्ड इन द इलेक्ट्रोथेरेपी डिपार्टमेंट, एंड अनदर मेथड इज मेकेनोरिसेप्टर्स. आपने बहुत देखा होगा कि आपको हाथ में दर्द हुआ, यू स्टार्ट rubbing like this, or you start pressing like this. So when you are doing this thing, what are you doing? You are activating the mechanoreceptors. When these mechanoreceptors are activating, naturally it is closing this pain gate. So this was given, I have already told you, this was given by Melzick and Wall, and this pain gate theory works at the level of the substantia gelatinosa and nucleus proprius of the posterior horn of the spinal cord. If nociceptive stimulus or the painful stimulus is allowed to pass from spinal cord, it will continue up to the lateral spinothalamic tract, brainstem, and forms the descending pain suppression system, thalamus, cerebral cortex. So, when we talk about the pain gate theory, we can understand it at 3 levels. Means we can control pain at 3 levels. So, according to that, pain gate theory has been classified as under 3 mechanisms. They are called peripheral mechanism, second is segmental mechanism, and third one is the extra-segmental mechanism. It is very clear from its name that peripheral mechanism means we are controlling the pain at the periphery. Periphery means outer parts. So we have seen in the diagram earlier that if we are controlling pain before spinal cord, then we call it as the peripheral mechanism. Means pain is controlled at the peripheral level. Another one is segmental mechanism. It may happen that some of the pain stimulus, they have crossed the peripheral level and they reaches to the segmental level. Segmental means they have reached to the spinal cord. If they have reached to the spinal cord, then we have to control the pain at the spinal cord level. Then we call it as the segmental mechanism. Then another chance is that some painful stimulus cross the spinal cord and they are reaching to the higher levels or the central nervous system. So we are controlling pain after the spinal cord and we call it as the extra-segmental mechanism. Okay, so first talking about peripheral mechanism, what happens in this peripheral mechanism? It acts by antidromic activation. Now what is antidromic activation? This is experimentally induced by the electrical stimulation, and in this the conduction pathway of a nerve is totally reverse of the normal pathway. So, if we are applying TENS is the most commonly used modality in the physiotherapy department, and this is used for controlling pain and to induce analgesia. So, when TENS is induced, nerve impulses travel away from the CNS, will collide with and extinguish the afferent impulses arising from tissue damage. इसको हम बहुत सिंपल टर्म्स में ऐसे समझ सकते हैं कि हमने टेंस लगाया, we applied TENS externally. For example, यहाँ पेशेंट को पेन है, हमने TENS अप्लाई किया. So when TENS is applied, some stimulus is going upwards, and because of that TENS, some TENS induced impulses will move backward. This is the reverse pathway of the sensory nerve. That's why we call it as the antidromic pathway. So this TENS induced impulse will collide with the and it will extinguish the afferent impulses arising from the tissue damage. यहाँ चोट लगी हुई है, यहाँ से एक पेनफुल स्टिमुलस ऊपर की तरफ जा रहा है, हमने TENS अप्लाई किया, उसकी वजह से एक जो स्टिमुलस है वो CNS से लोअर एंगल पे आ रहा है, तो वो पेरीफेरी पे ही एक दूसरे को कोलाइड करेंगे एंड पेन विल एक्सटिंग्विश, सो पेन इंटेंसिटी विल बी डिक्रीज. सो वी कॉल इट एज द पेरिफेरल मैकेनिज्म, and this likely occur in the large diameter fibers. Then coming on to the segmental mechanism, पेन तो कंटिन्यूअसली चल रहा है, पेशेंट को फील हो रहा है, तो it is possible that some of the pain stimulus crosses the periphery and it reaches to the spinal cord. When it is reaching to the spinal cord, we have to control it at this segmental level, so we call it as the segmental mechanism. What happens here? There is activation of large diameter fibers which are called the A beta fibers or the pain inhibiting fibers, which inhibits the ongoing activity in the second order nociceptive neurons in the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. And large diameter afferent will inhibit nociception in animals. This is a research, and some fibers have low threshold mechanoreceptors. They pass without synapsing up the posterior column of the spinal cord. And these large diameter A beta fibers, they give up collaterals which impinge on the nociceptive cells. We have already discussed that we have two kinds of pain carrying fibers. They are C fibers and A delta fibers. So A beta fibers are inhibiting the A delta fibers and C fibers. Decreases excitability of the nociceptor cell to pain generated stimuli by presynaptic inhibition. And then last mechanism is extra-segmental mechanism. It is quite possible that some of the pain stimulus has crossed the spinal cord and it starts moving upward to the higher centers. When we control pain after spinal cord, then we call it as the extra-segmental mechanism. So what happens here? It occurs by the activation of structures which forms the descending pain inhibition pathway, and they are periaqueductal gray matter or PEG, rostral ventral medulla and spinal dorsal horn. Here you can see that this is the incoming pain signal which has reached to the spinal cord. From spinal cord it is moving upwards. So when it starts moving upward, there is activation of these structures and pain is controlled at the spinal cord. Then there is activation of A delta pain fibers which may provoke the impulses in the midbrain that then travel back down towards the spinal cord to inhibit the nociceptor at the original level. These fibers in spinothalamic tract, they give off collateral branches to the PAG in midbrain. Descending neurons from this pass through the rostral ventral medulla and hence to the spinal cord, dorsal horn, generating enkephalins in the substantia gelatinosa, which are the natural painkillers. This you can understand with this diagram that pain signals are carried towards the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. From spinal cord it is moving upwards, means it has crossed that segmental level. It is moving towards higher centers. When this pain signal is reaching to the thalamus, there is activation of periaqueductal gray matter and descending pain pathway is activated and pain is inhibited at the spinal cord level. So with this we can understand that pain gate theory is very important and it is very simple to understand. So I hope that you will understand it clearly. Thank you so much.